What's up, everybody? Welcome to the James Just podcast. I am James Just, obviously. Um, that was so aggressive. I'm sorry. This is real weird because I gotta look into the camera and not down at myself because you can see me. So that's a thing now. So we'll try to get into it. But I've been gone for a minute. You know, my daughter had got sick. She needed surgery in her eye. I ended up getting sick. I just tested negative for COVID. So, it's like it's a bunch of other shit that happens, and I've been gone. And honestly, I've just been lagging in. I'm sorry. And again, this is only to like the few people that watch because I know it ain't a lot of you, but I do apologize. I am trying to get back into this. I'm sorry. So let's move on. Story time today. Today we're just gonna get into some real, just basic stuff that happens, and sometimes I feel like we don't share these stories, but they happen in a way that they're not normal. You would think like, oh, we've all had stories like this. Like, nah, I have different stories. You have different stories. And sometimes when I tell my stories, you go, what? That happened to you? You did that? Or like, yeah, that's my life. And then when you tell me your story, I think, bland. Or I think like, damn, you had it even worse. Which is weird because where we come from, people have a lot of like real bad stories. And I feel for you because mine ain't even that bad. Mine's all about being lonely and broken inside of my own head. People have actual stories where they're just like broken inside because of what's going on outside. And sometimes I envy anybody out there who could just put everything away. Would just be like, oh yeah, so my grandma died right in front of me, got shot in the face. So you guys want to play ball? Or like, I can't live that way. I wish I could. I just can't. And it sucks because I want to be like that. Like, I want to just forget all this shit and not drag it with me. You know what I'm saying? But I've noticed that I had to be a certain way at a certain age. So then as I got older, I kept changing and what people want to see, what they want to hear, and how to just kind of pull back and be friends, and how not to be friends, and how to like play the politics once you get old enough. And then once all of that goes away, boom, you're stuck with yourself, just you. And then you start looking at your kids, and your kids are like you. And then you're like, am I like that? Like, hell yeah, that's you. And then you start to really question yourself if you're introspective enough to go, yeah, I don't think that's right. I don't think I'm teaching them correctly. Let me try to fix that. Then you start to dig into, why am I doing that? Why do I do that? Why did that happen? So let's go into it. Story time. I got some stuff here on the side, so I'm going to look at that real quick. When I was little, I got hit by a car. Like a full-on car. My mom had to take me to the hospital. So this is what happened. I'm going down the street, and then I'm holding my mom's hand. My aunt is across the street, and I go, yo, my aunt's over there. I got to get over. Like a dumbass kid, right? Like, I got to go. So, bam. I get hit by a car. My mom takes it to the hospital. It ends up that I'm okay, right? But it's like a traumatic thing to get hit by a fucking car, right? Like I'm some kind of dog. So I don't blame anybody because shit happens, right? But then that's kind of the theme, and you'll understand what I mean. So from there, I don't know if it's related because I know people in the family have it, and I know I'm not no medical scientist here. Relax. But I have asthma. And I've always had asthma, so it's fucking issues for me, right? So that's one of the things I wanted to touch on. It was like, these stories I was never told. Someone just kind of slipped, and then I started asking questions, and then it was like something that they wanted to forget. And that's kind of the theme of all this, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So the next thing was, we used to live in these apartments on Adams. And this shit really called into my mind last night, and I was like, shit, I haven't thought about that in a long time. I didn't even know we lived in a studio. Like, I knew we lived in a van at one point, but we lived in an actual studio. It was just me, my mom, and her boyfriend. And I would wake up early and just bolt outside. Like on a Saturday, I would just jump on my little bike and I would just pedal my ass around these damn apartments. And I remember hanging out with this girl, and this girl would be like, let's go hang out under the apartments. And I'd be like, what are you talking about? And I don't know if that was the beginning of me being in weird places, but that was around the same time where it was starting to get weird. Because I was still young. I was still, like, 5 or 6, I don't know, something like that. And I would hide underneath the apartments. Like there was a door that went underneath all the apartments, and it's like for, like plumbing or something that happens, shit like that. Those little fences where the animals go into, they rip the little screens. I used to hang out in there. Like that used to be me and her hangout spot. And I would just roll around this bike, and I remember, I would get in trouble for it. And my stepdad he used to hit me. My mom's boyfriend. He's never really my stepdad. It was my mom's boyfriend. So he used to whoop my ass. And I remember thinking like, there was another room. I swear to you, I was like, yo, it was a 1-bedroom. But now I think back on it, and really like it hit me last night. We all slept in the living room, which was the studio. It's just the amenities of a home, the stove and the kitchen, all that shit, and then the bathroom, and then bam, just one big ass room. I know some of you know exactly what I'm talking about because maybe y'all live there. I didn't know that at the time. I didn't know we lived in the studio, all three of us. So it's kind of weird, you know what I mean? Like these memories, the way they kind of crawl into my head, like who does that? I do that. Broken ass me goes back into memories of being a 5-6-year-old. It's dumb. And a matter of fact, I can't even tell you what year. I got issues. So let's keep moving because I just want to roll through these to just kind of give you an idea of what's going on with me. So my mom, we used to be broke, right? Like broke. So my mom used to take me to school, and her Halloween outfit, my Halloween outfit, made for like, I don't know how long my mom said it. I think it was like 2 or 3 years. I was a hobo, just goofy ass cartoon hobo, like with the big skirt thing and the hat and like the patch, like just dumb hobo looking cartoon guy. And I was that for 3 years. And I remember I looked at my mom and I was like, I don't want to be a hobo anymore. And this was around the time we lived in the van. And I remember because she was like, oh, it's Halloween. I said, oh, cool. Boom, she pulled out the hobo outfit and I'm putting it on in the van. And then I'm going to school. And this is weird because these are memories that I remember in pieces, and my mom would just want to talk about it. Again, the theme is we have these, they weren't great parts, and now they don't exist to us. Let's not talk about them. They never happened. So here it goes, or I don't know who I am. So I got to start digging into stuff. So anyways, let's move on here. At one point, right? So my mom leaves her boyfriend. They're done. So she gets another boyfriend, but this ends up being my stepdad. Rest in peace. We just passed away this year, and he was like a big fan of like Little Rock and Glendale, and that was his stomping grounds. I mean, it was weird because he grew up like downtown LA by where we were at, but we never really like ran into him. We were at the Portland apartments, and we never really ran into him on Portland and Adams, between Hoover, behind the Hoover Recreational Center, and that street right there behind it was Toberman. So like a block over was Pico Union. So all that in the 90s is where I grew up, right? So once we leave all that and we end up there at Portland, and then she meets him, we move out with him, and we end up going to Glendale. And in Glendale, there's a fuckload of Armenian kids, and Armenian kids do not give a fuck. They're assholes, like for reals. So what ended up happening is I ended up getting in a fight with one of these fools. He fucking clocks the shit out of me, hairy bastard. And I remember before I jumped on him, they fucking came and grabbed me, and they were really pissed at me because how dare I fucking assault one of theirs. And I remember I told my mom what happened, right? And she had to come to the office, and they let her know, like, hey, this is unacceptable here. You can't have that dirty ass kid assaulting our good students. And I remember thinking like, wow, that's kind of fucked up. And my mom thought it was fucked up. And after a while, we just didn't live there anymore. That's when we moved. Now, all of this is just kind of how I remember it. Just remember that I'm like an unreliable narrator. As I remember these things, they're in pieces, and sometimes they're broken from other stuff to other things. My homie has the same problem. He'll have like a memory of his grandma hitting somebody with a guitar, and it's like, does that sound like something a grandma does? Like, no. But that's the way our brains are kind of weird to like match two things. So yeah, the Glendale thing, I remember the lady was racist. I remember I got hit, and I remember my mom going to school, but I just don't remember the exact details. And again, no one wants to talk about it because, hey, it was a long time ago. It barely happened. Who cares, right? So from that being racist, we ended up in Rosemead. We ended up in Rosemead in a house with my grandma and my aunt. And then when I was sleeping in the living room in a pull-out couch, which was my best friend for a couple of years, some drunk guy just walked into our house. I don't know what the fuck happened, but my dad beat him up. It was weird. And but that was just a moment, right? So then they had their tiff where my grandma hated my dad and blah blah blah. So they got into a big ass scuffle. The cops came, and then we stopped living together. So from there we moved away, and by away I mean like 4 or 5 streets away. But my grandma actually moved away. Like she left. I don't remember exactly where. I don't know if she went back to Palmdale, but she was gone. Like she was out of our lives for like a couple years, I guess, or a year. I don't know. Again, I'm lost in time. And the crazy thing is that when we moved a couple streets away, that was when my fully alone started. Now I had always hung out with all kinds of different people. My mom, she had to work. You know what I mean? My dad had to work, or I didn't have a dad at a certain time. I always stayed with my grandma, or I stayed with a babysitter or something like that. So it was always like I'm somewhere else in someone else's house. I'm rarely at my own home. I don't have a home. I don't feel like I have a home because I'm everywhere else. So we end up in Rosemead, and Rosemead is really where it starts for me because this is 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade. Like I'm really starting to remember stuff, and even now I don't remember too much, but I remember the experiences, right? And one of the experiences was I was hanging out and I was talking to this girl. And this girl's just chopping it up with me and we're having a good time or whatever. And she goes, let's go play in the bushes. And I go, cool, let's go. So as we're playing in the bushes, it turns out she just starts getting naked. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck is this? And when she gets naked, I'm just like tripping out because I'm like, I don't know what to do. I mean, I think I was like in the 3rd or 4th grade, and I was like, what do I do? And I just ran. She just stood there in the bushes, butt naked, and I just ran. And we never talked about it. Oh, my homie's calling. I'm gonna do something with him. And yeah, so I remember thinking, wow, like this is so weird. And then like a year later, they end up like pantsing these girls. And I remember because this is the first time I seen like a young girl naked. They just pantsed her, just nothing. And I remember everybody laughing. That girl was fucking horrified, and I was just stunned. And I was like, what do I do? Do I laugh? Do I not laugh? You know what I mean? Like, these are things that people should tell you. Like, hey, this is a young girl. This is not right. You're a young boy. This isn't right. Nobody tells me anything. I just go off of what the other kids are doing because the other kids are assholes, sometimes older than me. I just roll with it. So I just started laughing. Asshole, right? What a giant piece of shit. But as a kid, do you know any better? No. And if you're in that environment, you would laugh too. Why? Because that's what we do. We roll around with everyone else. Nobody really gives us fucking morals like they should. But I gotta learn them on my own, right? And I'm old enough not to complain because I can't regret anything I've done. I have a beautiful life, right? I gotta accept it. So let's move on here. This is the other thing about that too. We used to play the grab ass game. I don't know if anybody remembers it, but you just run around grabbing girls' asses, and whatever girl wasn't on point, letting you grab her ass, she was basically a bitch. Like, I'm just being honest. Hold on, let me reply to this man. 2 seconds. Okay, there we go. Okay, so yeah, so we played the grab ass game, right? And all the girls were into it. And I remember there was like a couple girls who weren't. Again, this is what I'm saying. You would think no girl's into it. No girl wants to do that shit. That shit sounds stupid as fuck. Nope. Gang of girls were into it. Why? Because when you get a bunch of ghetto ass kids, you don't know what's right or wrong. All you know is we gotta keep this away from the teacher. That's it. So we did. and we played the game left and right. We even went on field trips and was playing it. It was awful. Like, I mean, looking back at it, it was awful. During the day, back in the day, it was fun. It was fun as hell. So, anyways, one day I get sick. I don't go to school because I'm sick. So then I end up going back to school, I think like 2 days later or a day later, and all my friends are gone. I'm like, what the fuck? What's going on, right? Sorry, I keep getting these messages. And and I'm like, what happened? So it turns out that some of the girls got together and said, we're tired of this shit, like they should. And they went to the principal. The principal suspended all the boys. And while I was out, they got their sentence. And when I came back, I was like one of the only boys in school. And I remember looking around like, where the hell is everybody? Where's all my friends? And one of the girls said to me, you're so lucky. And I said, why? And like, you didn't get suspended. Everybody got suspended for the grab ass game. And I was like, oh, we're not doing that anymore? The girl's like, no, you're not supposed to grab our ass. Who told you guys that that was okay? And I was like, I thought it was okay because everybody was playing it. She's like, no, it's not. It's not okay. So again, learning the hard way, but I caught a break. And I noticed throughout my life, I would catch these breaks. You know what I mean? During the car crash, during this, during that. I would walk away unscathed or barely hurt. And this is, again, another recurring theme is that it didn't happen and I got away with it. So it was cool. But it wasn't. It was just something that I'm probably paying for now. You know what I mean? Having to fucking look back at all these memories and be like, oh, damn, that's misogyny and just sexual assault at that age. Like, what the fuck is that, right? But you're a kid. You don't know. Does it mean that it's right? No, it's not right. But these are things I'm working through. I have to keep working through these things to get to where I'm finally a better person. So the other thing was I innocently just found porn in my house. This was real weird too, and this is what I feel like I'm really like entangled with a lot of weird shit in my youth, sexually, I guess. And I ended up finding my dad's porn, right? Which is no big deal. Everybody has porn, right? And I was looking for a news article, and I remember my mom used to have like papers of some news shit, and there was a top shelf on top of the closet. And I was like, oh, they probably got papers up there. So I couldn't actually go up there. So I just stepped on the little step stool and I reached my hand up there and I was like, yes, magazines, got it. And I pull it down and they're like these fucking cheap, just cheap ass, like not even Playboys. They're just like some dumbass magazines. I'm cracking up because looking back at it, like I wasn't cracking up. Like I was shaking. Like my anxiety was at an all-time high. I was like, they're naked. Like I remember thinking, like these people are naked. It sounds dumb and it sounds ridiculous, but it's true. It's 100% true. I was just like nervous though. Now that was the first time. After that, whenever I got a chance, I kept looking at them, and then I brought it up at school, and then the kids are like, hell yeah, look at that shit. And I was like, oh, it's not just me. I'm not just a weirdo. Everybody does it. And then there were some real ass perverts at school, and they would do weird shit, like, you know what I mean? I'm talking comparing sizes, weird shit. And that's when I would like walk off, because that, you know, for some reason I still had that limit inside of me, like, no, thank you, no. So from there, again, another weird pattern of how I kind of associate what's right or what's wrong or what's accepted or what's not. The line just kept getting blurred. And I never went to my parents for anything, because as you grow up, it's never ask me whenever you have a question. It's stay away from me, I'm busy. Which they are. They're tired. They work. Fuck it. Moving on. This is like more of a rage story where I was like angry. And it was one of the first times I really like snapped. And it was this fat kid. This fat kid always kept messing with me. I'm fucking big now, but before I was smaller. And this fat kid just fucking irritated me. Like he would just irritate the shit out of me because he would fuck with me a lot. So one day I snapped, and I forgot where. I think he pushed me down, and then he walked away. And I couldn't take it. Again, this is like third, fourth grade. I couldn't take it. And when he walked away, I ran up like some kind of kung fu master and just kneed him in the back. And when he fell and he was crying, I jumped on top of him, and I was ready to fuck his shit up. And the teacher ran over, threw me off, and was like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" And I said, "He's messing with me." She's like, "So you knee him in the back?" And I was like, "Hell yeah." And I never noticed that was wrong. I never, like, this is when I started to understand that I was starting to get angry because of the stuff that was happening to me and the things that I was going through. I was never the kid that was just fully accepted because I moved around so damn much. So instead of feeling like I had friends or anything, I started to get more isolated, angrier about it, angrier at the fact that I was different. Even the way I'm talking to you, this is different. The way we're conversating right now, this is very different. Nobody does this. When you do this with somebody, you're their best friend. You know everything about them. You've known them for years. They know everything about you. That's not the case anymore. Now it's like, you don't know me at all, but you can watch this shit and know everything about me. Shit, if it helps you, that's what it's for, right? So anyways, another instance came where this fool lost $20. I think it was for his birthday too. It's real fucked up. It was for his birthday and he got like $20. So I found it in the field. So I said, fuck it. Y'all want Cheetos and fucking Doritos and corn nuggets? I got you. And I bought the whole class except for that fool snacks. And I still had like $7, I remember. And he was like, "You found my $20." I said, "Nah, dog." As I'm eating these snacks and everybody's eating the snacks and they're just like, "James is so cool. He bought us snacks. Like, he's amazing." And this fool's crying because he lost $20, but nobody could prove it. $20 is $20. How do you know it's not yours? It's not gonna have your name on it. So they're pretty fucked up. I'm pretty fucked up. Let's be honest. The other thing I used to do was I used to go to Montgomery Ward. And I don't know if you know what that is, but it's right there where the Rosemead Target is. Before it was Target, it was Montgomery Ward. And it was a janky ass fucking place where you could just buy furniture, or play the video games, which is all I used to do. Me and my mom used to go over there. And this guy named Alan, who was my neighbor, and his mom worked at Jack in the Box. The only reason I remember that is because she always used to bring home Jumbo Jacks. And she would have like full on like, "Oh, you guys want breakfast?" Because she had all the breakfast pieces stolen from Jack in the Box. Like, she was a single mom, so we hung out a lot. And we used to go to Montgomery Ward a lot. We used to fuck around the elevator because it was glass, and we put our ass cheeks against the glass just to have everybody that could see us from the window just freak the fuck out. And then we run off laughing because we're idiots, right? And the security guard would come and say, "You kids gotta get the fuck out of here." Like, all right then, and we just leave. Stupid shit. We used to jump around all the couches and stuff. And I remember one time I went to my friend's house, and I don't know if you know Rosemead or whatever, but Rosemead Boulevard, and then there's the next exit on the freeway, which is Baldwin. My homie lived on Baldwin, so I went to his house. We were hanging out. I was always at everyone's house. We were hanging out, playing games, blah blah. And his dad was like, "Yo, should I call your parents? Like, shouldn't he be home already?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm going. I live down the street." I told that to everybody. And again, nobody gives a shit, so they believe me. And I was running home before it got dark. And I made it. 5:30? No, like 6. It was about to get dark. I remember it's one of those around those times when it was gonna get late. So I'm running and I make it to the house. Hold on. And I end up making it. I get there right before my dad, his big ass truck, doop, 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 you hear just coming up. And he gets inside and he's super pissed because he doesn't know that I've been gone all day, but all he knows is that the house isn't clean like it was supposed to be. So I'm in trouble again. This is another thing. I always had to clean the house. Like I was some fucking Cinderella. And I hated it. But who doesn't have to clean? The only difference was I was a latchkey kid, so I come home by myself. Nobody else. Just me. clean the house. Of course, I'm gonna fucking walk off and leave it at someone's house and not give a shit. So there was another thing. I went to my friend's house, right? And I had a bike, and he would put air in my bike because he had a bike pump. So I would go to his house, and one time I went, and he put air in it. He was like, "Yo, I'll put air in it." And then I was walking him back to his door, and when he opened the door, his dad was there, and he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I went to put air in my friend's bike." And he looked over at me, and he like nudged me. He goes, "Back me up." And he was like, "Oh," I was like, "Oh yeah." And when I did that, because I froze, like the way he did that, like, "Back me up," I was like, "Huh?" His dad grabs him by the shirt, drags him in the house, slams the door in my face, and I could just hear my friend getting fucked up in there. And you could just hear him saying like, "No, Dad, I swear." Like, it was, I'm laughing because it's fucked up, but it was bad, yo. Real quick, there's another time that happened. I was playing my mom's friend's house, and the dad came home, and it was weird because they had money, right? So he had like a little, kind of like a cubby hole that he would hang out, and he had toys and shit. And I was in there, and then he was like, "What the fuck?" So we both come out, and I was like, "Oh, what happened?" So just right in front of me, he just starts fucking his shit up. He's like, "I told you not to do that." And he just starts beating the shit out of him. I'm just like looking, like you know what I mean? Like, you just watch your friends getting beat, and you just kind of stand there like, "Am I next? I don't even know. Is this okay? I know they hit me before, but I don't know. Is this what happens?" So that was a thing. But anyways, I remember missing out on this pizza party because I had bad grades. I failed some shit. I always failed. Hello, I think I'm dyslexic or whatever, but I fail, and then they kick us out of the party. It's me and like 3 other people. So this girl that they used to hang out with, her name was Crystal. She would go, "I don't think it's right that they took our pizza money, but they're not letting us be part of the party." So out of nowhere, we start like, "Give us back our pizza money." Give us like, we're fucking idiots. And sure enough, the lady goes, "We can't give you back the pizza money. We bought the pizza, but we'll bring you pizza in here." So they're having this great party over there, and here we are as idiots just eating pizza quietly, looking at each other. That was one of the first times that I knew that I was going to be in detention a lot. And I was. Yikes. The last story is, it has to do with the same girl, Crystal. I had a girlfriend. Yes, I had a girlfriend in elementary, believe it or not. And she was cool. She was nice. I swear to you, she didn't mean that much to me because I can't even remember her name. But I remember this girl, Crystal, very vividly because she was like a hater type person. So she would say like, "Oh, you like James? What the fuck is wrong with you?" And I was like, "Oh, you fucking bitch." But she was also my friend. Kids are fucked up that way. And because of what she said and how she told people that that girl was with me, that girl broke up with me. And I was like, "Oh, I'm like, how sad." And then she was the one who told me, "Hey, don't trip." One time when we were walking to school, she straight peed herself. Ugh, she's fucking gross. This was her friend, and she said that shit to me, and it made me feel better because I was an idiot. But then I kind of picked up on that, like, oh, this girl's real fucked up. But so am I. So you just kind of live with it. And I've been living with fucked up people ever since. You know, till I got older. Once I got here, now, I'm chilling. All I do is hang around pretty good, decent people. And I'm just lucky to have that. So, anyone from back then, if you hear these stories and this is you, I apologize, but this is my truth. This is shit I have to deal with. As for everyone else, thanks for listening. We're only doing 30 minutes now because I feel like these stories are more therapeutic for me and less informative for you. And again, if you guys want to talk about anything, I'm more than happy to do it. I know my homie does interviews for Zoom and shit, so maybe I'll start doing that. I don't know. We'll see what's up. Again, I don't really think about it. I just kind of do. And if it's right, then I'll do it. So I'll hit you guys up on the next one. Peace. I don't know how to do it. I'm out of here.